Okay, so in this video we're still talking about solving radical equations, but what we have not talked about yet is what's called an extraneous solution. Extraneous is just a fancy math word for a false solution. So sometimes when you're solving an equation that has a root in it, you're going to get an answer that just doesn't work at all. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this by algebra, and then we're going to come back and do it by graphing as well. So I'm just going to jump in here. So if you try to solve the equation square root of x equals -1, you get x equals 1. But x equals 1 is not a valid solution. If you plug it in, you're not going to get -1. This is an example of an extraneous or false solution. So pretty much what you can do to check to see if you have an extraneous solution is take your answer and plug it into the original equation. If it works, great, keep it. If it doesn't work, then it's called extraneous, and you just throw it out. You pretend that answer didn't exist at all. So let's do an example. All right, I want to solve this equation, and we're going to do it just like we did in the previous videos. We're doing this by hand, okay? So here my index is 2. So that means I need the second power on both sides to get rid of that root. So I'm going to do second power on this side, and both pieces over here have to get the second power again. What you do on one side, everything on the other side gets that second power. So what I have is x minus 4 squared is equal to 2 and 2. Those cancel out, 2x. All right, well, what I want to do now is just clean this up as much as I can. I have x minus 4 squared, so I can factor that using, or I can expand that out using FOIL or the box. It's going to be x squared minus 8x plus 16 equals to 2x. And what I want to go ahead and do is just get everything on this same side. So I'm going to take this 2x and move it over here and combine my like terms. So minus 2x minus 2x. All right, cancel out. So I have x squared minus 10x plus 16 equals 0. All right, well, this is a pretty complicated equation. We haven't learned how to deal with x squares yet, how to solve equations with x squares. So since I don't know how to do it by hand, I'm going to go ahead and do it by graphing. Remember, whatever is on the left, you put it in y1. Whatever is on the right, you put it in y2. Okay, so in my calculator, I'm going to do that. Y equals, clear it out, I have x squared minus 10x plus 16. Here I have 0. I'm going to graph it, and every time I do a new graph, hit zoom 6. Well, I'm looking for where the curve touches y equals 0, which is just your x-axis. So I have what looks like maybe two answers, here and here. Okay, where where y equals 0. So second count, option 5 for intersection, first curve enter, second curve enter, and guess. My first answer that's a possibility is x equals 2. My second answer, second count, option 5, first curve enter, second curve enter, guess, is x equals 8. Now notice I haven't circled these yet because since my original problem had that root in it, I've got to check for extraneous solutions. Both of these might be okay, or one of these might be extraneous, or both of these might be extraneous and there might not be any real solution at all. So what I'm going to do is everywhere I see an x, plug in a 2 just to check it. Okay, and I'm going to do that in yellow. Okay, so just plug into my original problem. So I have 2 minus 4 is equal to the square root of 2 times 2. Well, 2 minus 4 is -2, and that's supposed to be equal to the square root of 4. Square root of 4 is 2. Right? Actually, here this is -2. Sorry, that's my fault. So -2 is supposed to be equal to the square root of 4. So -2 is supposed to be equal to, but square root of 4 is positive 2. These two are not equal to each other. That's never going to happen. So this, x equals 2, is an extraneous solution. We throw it out. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing, check for extraneous solutions, but this time, everywhere I see an x, I'm going to plug in an 8 into my original problem. Go ahead and do that in purple. So 8 minus 4 is supposed to be equal to the square root of 2 times 8. All right, so 8 minus 4 is 4. 2 times 8 is 16. Well, the square root of 16 is 4, so we have 4 equals 4, which is true. That does work. So x equals 8 is my only solution. Okay? And you could actually check this out originally by graphing the original problem. y1, y2. So what I'm going to do is graph that now and show you that if you graph the original problem, you don't have to worry about extraneous solutions because the calculator will take care of it for you. The only thing is you have to graph the original problem, the exact original problem. So in y1, I'm going to put x minus 4. In y2, I'm going to put in the square root of 2x. Both pieces are underneath that root, so they both need to go in parentheses there. Square root, or sorry, zoom 6. And I only have one point of intersection. Right here. So, second calc, option 5, first curve just hit enter, second curve just hit enter, and then you guess. Move your cursor into position, hit enter, x equals 8, which is exactly what I found when I did it by hand. That's it for this video. Watch out for extraneous solutions. Again, if you just graph the original problem, the calculator will take care of the extraneous solutions for you. If you do it by hand, you have to go back into the original problem every time you see a root and plug it and check, because sometimes you'll get extraneous, sometimes it'll work out, so just be careful.